What up guys, I hope you've had an amazing week, and if you haven't, don't worry, because I'm pretty sure this video is going to cheer you up. Why is that? Because I'm going to tell you a very personal story about my English journey. This is when I share with you a story that has a bit of a twist, and we all love stories or films that have a twist in them. And so what I want hopefully to be able to share with you is for you to know that if you think you're a maths and science student, or even if it's not maths and science, if you just think you're some other type of student or you have some other type of interest and English is just not your forte, I'm here to prove you wrong. And that's because I am a physical representation of somebody who is able to prove you wrong with that. So let me tell you how it all started. So I was never a English student. I always thought of myself as a maths and science student. And I think this is true for a lot of people out there, especially if you're Asian. And I say that because I grew up in a world where maths was constantly driven into me. So whether it was through going to tutoring school, or whether it was just doing extra maths at home, or my parents would teach me maths, it was always about maths. And that's because that's what my parents knew, and they had the connections to find the right people to help me with maths. So I always grew up thinking that I was a really strong maths student, and I was. I'm not gonna lie, I was doing year 8 maths by the time I was in year 6, so I was always ahead of the game when it came to mathematics. So I was pretty much an average student when it came to English. I would pretty much average at around B's, which could be around 70 to 80% or 60 to 80, and this was pretty much from primary school through to year 9, so middle of high school. And I remember there was this one instance in year 9 where I actually got a D for one of my assignments, and my teacher said that it was because I didn't follow the instructions. Oops, sorry. Don't interrupt my story. Yeah, the teacher said that I didn't follow through with the instructions, and so I didn't deserve anything else but a D. So I mean, I was in year 9, I didn't really care about English, and I kind of laughed it off because whatever, I was having more fun in class chatting to my friends than doing the actual English work anyway. So fast forward to year 10. Year 10 was when you start to get a little bit more information about year 11 and year 12, which is in Victoria something called VCE. And with the way that the VCE system works, pretty much you have 4 top subjects. 4 subjects that are ranked the highest out of all 6 or more of your subjects adds more to your total end of year score, which is the ATAR. So 100% of your final mark gets contributed to your ATAR. But the little thing that everyone is unhappy about, or some people don't really care, and it's something that actually worked out really well for me, was English has to be in your top 4. So when I realized that, I realized, oh, okay, so if English is going to be in the top 4, it means I have to be good at English. Am I good at English right now? Not really. So do I have to get better at English? Yeah, I probably do, especially if I want to do well. And so that's what I did. So I was still doing really well in maths, doing really well in science, and you know what? I think 4 out of 6 of my subjects that I studied in VC were actually maths and science, because that's how into it I thought I was. I even chose to do the advanced mathematics because I was a maths nerd, and I just thought that, you know, normal maths was fine for me. I'd probably do all right at the advanced math. And boy, was I wrong, and I have talked about it on this channel. So that's when I started to put more effort into English. I got a tutor, but I would say that while my tutor helped me, I think my own shift in mentality and my approach to English was what really changed and influenced my eventual love and eventual A+ness in English. A+ness is not a word, don't use that in your essays. So what did I actually do? I'd always loved reading, but I never really translated that into English. I'd always felt like English was really just reading these books that I didn't really enjoy and then writing essays on them that I also didn't really enjoy. So I shifted my mentality. I started actually investing in the books that I was reading, trying to get information out of them that I did enjoy, or look at themes that I thought related to me on some type of level. And you actually find that the books that schools choose for you, 9 out of 10 times, cross fingers, actually has some sort of relevance to you as a teenager or as a person, growing up in this society. There is something there that you should be able to connect to. And so that's what I discovered with my books. And then when I started actually writing about them, I was more invested and interested in what I was writing. So one of the books that I studied was To Kill a Mockingbird, and I thought it was really interesting in how it changed my perspective on justice and what the legal system does and where its faults are, but also where its strengths are. So that's something that's still relatable to me today and to us today, even though it was written over 50 years ago. So that was the first thing that really changed my English approach. The second thing was I just started to put more time into English. I had always put more time into maths, so of course that would mean that I would do better in maths. So why not put more time into English? And as I put more time into English, not just trying to do the bare minimum, but actually doing more and actually wanting to get that A+ was what eventually got me there. So throughout year 10, I started to get A's and some A+. In year 11, I was consistently getting A and A+, and then by the time I was in year 12, I was constantly getting A+. I don't think I fell below an A+. And as you can see, this isn't something that just switched up overnight. It's something that happened over 3 years. And I'm really happy with how it all turned out. Ironically, English ended up being my top subject, and the advanced maths that I told you about just before, that ended up being my bottom subject. So it's kind of funny, I think that we as people tend to associate ourselves with things that we like or things that we're good at. That was me, because I thought to myself, I'm good at maths, I'm good at science, so I'm a maths and science student. But that wasn't to say that I was not an English student. It was because I'd never really put my time into English, and I never really cared about English as much as I did with maths and science. And so now I can actually say very proudly that I am both a creative person, and that's the English side of things, and an analytical person, and that's the maths and science side of things. And knowing that I can be good at both is pretty darn awesome. And I feel like back then I was like, I'm a maths and science student, and that makes me super proud because I'm good at maths and science. But it's awesome to be able to say, you know what, I'm good at both, and I can talk to you about maths, I can talk to you about science, but I can also talk to you about English. Hopefully what I can give you guys from this is, if you are somebody who is going into your final years of high school, or you just don't feel like you're an English student and so therefore you're not good at English, shift things up. See if you can change your mentality towards English, or whatever other subject it is that you don't really like as much or you don't think you're very good at. It could be the opposite for you. So you could be a friggin' awesome English student but a weak math student. But give it a shot and just see if that changes things for you. Of course, there are certain subjects where, it's just not designed for you. So I know for me, physics, nah, man, I'm good, I'm out of there. But this is more for, people who are thinking to themselves, and probably you, I associate myself to be this type of person, and you probably associate yourself because you've just always been good at that. And with something else that you're not so good at, maybe it's just because you haven't, put more time into it, and maybe it's because you've just never been good at it, so you've just been like, yeah, whatever. Which is true, because we always invest more time in things that we like and that we're good at, of course, because it makes us feel good about ourselves. But if we actually just start putting that extra effort into whatever that other subject is, see how we could make it work for us, then I think that is the key to your success. In the end, I made English work for me, and it worked for me so well that eventually it was my top subject, and I have a business now revolving around teaching students English. And I have students all the time who say to me, I hate English, or English is not my subject, or I'm a maths and science subject. English is just not for me. If you are any one of those, I challenge you to change your perspective and give it a shot for a year. See if that makes a change. If it does, then make sure you contact me and let me know, because I would absolutely love to hear how your approach has changed the way that you study and what subjects you realize are actually going to be your strong points or not. If you liked hearing this personal journey of mine, then make sure you give it a thumbs up. I hope it really inspires you and gives you hope for yourself, because I always have students who email me and ask me about English and how they're really unsure and uncertain. But honestly, trusting yourself and believing yourself, as cliche as it sounds. Speaking of emails, if you wanted to join my email list, then I'll pop it in a link in the description just down below. Basically, I send out emails to you personally every single week where I answer questions from students about VC or about VC English. And not just that, but I give you some extra advice, tips, resources, and so much more to help guide you to VC success. So until I see you guys next time, I'm gonna head out and enjoy the sun. Love you all. Bye.